Hey guys, I'm FatBuddyCat, and this is a down and dirty Z50R. Today, we're going to install the shiny red gas tank. After that, I'm going to show you how I fabricated this simple, lightweight, yet effective grab bar. Looks like the first thing I have to do is remove the seat. The gas tank has two mounting points, one in the front, one in the back, just like a traditional motorcycle. Yeah, buddy. Problem is, if you tried to line this thing up, right, you got to go this direction, put it on, and you go to make your pivot, you can't. So she's out of there. The seat is really easy to take off. You just have the one bolt in the front with the hardware, 3/4 inch wrench, 3/4 inch ratchet, and then you just slide the rears off. You just have to loosen the nuts on the shocks and push outward slightly. That's it. I just keep telling myself that it was the last time. Yet, here I am again, touching my coil. I just need to flip it. I want the wire to be on this side of my gas tank mount. I have plenty to run back to my little CDI box, so I'll just loosen these nuts, try to hold everything in place, and get it done. I must be getting good at this. That was a breeze. Just reach up under and hold the two bolts, loosen the nuts, put everything right there, flipped it over, put everything back where it went. Butter. It's a good thing I saved my odds and ends when I did my initial teardown. In this bag of random bolts, nuts, washers, and grommets were two gas tank rubbers. These fit inside of these slots on this gas tank as well. So that'll be the same as stock. These go right on top of these factory mounts, just like that. This is going to look ridiculously good, so we might as well do a good job on the installation. The tab in the back, well, it doesn't line up with anything. We're snug on the mounts up in the front. It holds the tank up off of the frame. We don't have to worry about metal to metal contacting, except for back here. We'll get to that. We now have all that extra space where you can move these unsightly wires up and over. I'm still going to leave my coil wire on this side, and for the back, unfortunately, we got to drill another hole. Just one. I just centered the tab with a little bit of pressure, and then reached down inside and marked a dot with my Sharpie. I want to use rubber mounts in grommets wherever I can. That way it reduces vibration in metal to metal contact. Rubber in the front, so let's see what we can do in the back. I think this one is going to get us close to the height that we're going to need. I'll probably add a couple washers underneath it to lift it up, but this is pretty firm. It's not going to do a whole lot of squishing, so it should also hold the position. I have a bolt that fits through. I'm just messing around trying to get the right combination. I think this little guy will go in that hole. It's not perfect, but it'll do. I have my flange bolt, a washer, that grommet. Now I just need something to set my height, and then a nut. I have a nylock and a washer that will go on from underneath. Now I gotta drill that hole out. I just had to figure this out first so that I knew how big the hole had to be. Just like down at the factory, except it's not threaded. I'm going to get a piece of cardboard, hold it underneath, and just spray that bare metal. Might as well clean those burrs off of the file too. This is actually a good time for this trick. Take a little tape, corner off some bristles, snip it off with your scissors, and you have a nice little micro brush to get into your tight spaces. You don't have to worry about overspray. Spray a little bit of your paint down inside your cap, and then you can go over to the mini bike and touch up any spots without making a mess. I already did that hole. A little bit up here. That's all going to be covered by the tank, but this is a neat little trick. While I'm standing here, waiting for things to dry, snips in hand, I had a sudden revelation. It doesn't make any practical sense to move these wires above this frame. Think about that now. If something goes wrong with one of these terminals, or the harness, the CDI, the coil, any of it, what would we have to do to get to it if it was up here? We would gain two things. It would look clean, and it might, so maybe we'll get like 1.5 things out of this. It might protect the wires better under the tank. But if we need to get to them, the tank has to come off. That means the seat has to come off too. Not gonna happen. If I need to get to these, they're gonna be right there. Right out in the open. It's going to help eat up some of that blank space that's under there anyway. that seals my deal. The tank's back on the frame, pushed all the way forward on the mounts. If I edge that over, you see the hole. This is the bushing I came up with to go in the middle. I have a small washer on top, a big washer on the bottom. I'm just making sure that I have a few threads coming through my nylock nut. I know that's not going to back out on me. Come back over on this side, and I'm looking at that line on the bottom of the tank and the frame. I'm going to go just a couple more threads and call that good. This is probably a little bit better than good. I can't wait to see it with the seat. While we still have that off, we're going to take the time to fabricate a nice, simple grab bar. Moving this thing around, you have a natural tendency to go for the seat. And over time, that is going to put stress on the plastic. I think we can work off of these two rear metal tabs. I just removed the hardware from the back two seat brackets, exposing the 4 studs. I'm using this universal angle iron track stuff that I found down at the hardware store. It's a decent gauge and really shouldn't bend too easily. It has holes already drilled in it. They're in patterns. Each side is a little bit different. This one goes 3 slots and then a hole, 3 slots and then a hole. If I pull back on top of those 3 slots, both of my studs line up. But that gives us wiggle room. If I put one of the studs through a solid hole, this one should be able to find that slot no problem. I just have to bore them out a bit. I also have to cut 2 lengths. I'm going to let this sit in a little bit, probably right about there, and then just have to figure out where I want the handle to be as far as the seat goes. Do I want it to be underneath or just behind? I think I would like it just behind so that you see it. So you grab at the handle instead of the seat. So, look at my slots again. 1, 2. I'm going to cut it right around there. I have 2 pieces cut. I'm just going back over and making sure that they look uniform. All the holes are the opposite but going the same way. So whatever you see on the outside will look the same from the left or the right. I'm going to clean up these edges. I can tighten it up at that point. I'll bore these holes out at the same time. It got a little sloppier than I wanted it to, but it is what it is. Trying to drop these down square against these brackets was not easy. I definitely took off plenty. This one I kept it nice and tight apparently. It doesn't matter. We're gonna have a washer and a big old nut over that, so as long as they're held down tight to the bracket, they'll be nice and straight. I just found an old axle that I'm not using, and then I bored out these last two holes. Not slots, but holes. Now, this axle will go through and create the base for the handle. I just took a parallel measurement right next to the brackets, and then I found 3 spacers, believe it or not. I didn't even have to cut them, that will give us the same measurement when squeezed together. That would look ridiculous. I'm going to use a couple washers on each side to even things out. You're not going to see these spacers. Piece of heater hose. Make sure you get that part in there. Stuff the spacers right down inside. I found a couple nuts that were slightly bigger, and I used those instead of washers to space this thing out. It looks a whole lot better. I'll probably send it through the other direction. Nice and proud there. That'll feel good. This won't feel good though. I have to take it apart and trim back all my rough edges. I'll take my marker and I don't know, try to shape it out a little bit. I'm all rounded up, cleaned off, ready for a coat of paint. I got a little close on that edge, but I don't think it's going to crack. There's not going to be a whole lot of vibration back here. That one's a little bit better. Send it. I just used the same black that I used on the rims. I can't wait to get this put back together. Here's what it looks like installed on the bottom of the seat. Not too shabby, huh? Flip it over. Yeah, buddy. Let's get this on the mini bike. Look at those nuts. They're popping. If this doesn't make you fall in love with this mini bike, I don't know what will. Get a load of that. Whew. That tank, that seat, Look at that transition. Still have to put the cap on it, and came with the petcock. It even has keys. We'll get to that. Bask in our glory a little bit more. I think that handle came out pretty cool. Has that grassroots MX vibe to it. You can grab right onto this, pick the bike right up off the ground. There's my chair to help me down here. This is connected straight to the frame via those seat brackets. So when you lift this up, you're lifting from the shock mounts and this point of the frame, which transfers back down to the main frame, coincidentally right where all the weight is at. That metal plug comes out easily with a flathead screwdriver. Locking gas cap, eh? Alright. Turn that. Pull the key out. That's my liquid gold, baby. It's like Fort Knox in there. The petcock goes on the other side. Looks like we have another cap. Should be some threads. Just make sure that that's clean. This has a filter built into it that goes up in. Make sure that your rubber seal is there. There's no cracks in it. It's brand new, so basically just want to make sure it's in one piece. Talk about cutting it close. I threw a fuel line on my carburetor just to make sure I could sneak past that bowl on the bottom of the petcock. As is, I have to have it turned sideways. It's a little oblong, and if I turn that shutoff valve to the side instead of the front, we will make more contact with the fuel line. We're not going to pinch it, and I'm not touching the carburetor in a manner that we're interfering with any of its operations. So as long as we can loop that fuel line around and gravity does its thing, I'm cool with it. Up next, we're going to hit the 4 F's. We're going to get all the filters on. We're going to install some new fenders. We're going to put fuel in the tank. And then we're going to fire it up. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good night, and I'll catch you on the next one. I want you to stay.